You know I'm having a hard time getting over Christmas this year.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hi, I'm Claire.
And I'm Molly.
And this is Bookstupid.
All right, so what are we doing here?
We're going to write books. We're going to write romance novels.
Yeah.
We're going to do it this year. That's why we're starting in January, to kind of like challenge ourselves.
And to be clear, first time authors, like this is new to us.
Yeah, first time like hopefully authors also.
Yeah, but no disrespect to those published.
Yes, it's
How
hard.
could it be?
Also that. We read a lot of romance. We read a lot of romance we like and romance we think could be better.
Right.
Maybe. Again, no disrespect.
Maybe we put respect aside.
Yeah.
Because we're not particularly respectful people.
No, that's true. No. And it's like, it is very us to be like, we can do it.
Yeah, we're just gonna... Oh, we should also say 2 type Bs. Like, we are...
Yeah, like not routine oriented. At least I'll say that for myself.
Like both the kids whose backpacks were full of crumpled paper.
Loose paper backpack.
In high school, my locker had ants leading up to it.
Yeah. I actually like same. I didn't have ants, but I don't know if Jeeps can speak to this, but I always had like a chocolate milk in my locker for too long.
I've always got a chocolate milk.
Yeah, she's always, you need a chocolate milk. Always something
You're kind of like in a secondary market for chocolate milks.
Stop by my locker later.
Also, Jupes, the off-screen mentioned Jupes.
Yeah. She is,
she's a resident type A.
Yeah, so. We have asked, we know we can write books. We know we need a type A sort of like helper to kind of...
So we've got a Taurus with a gun in the room.
I think it's also important to mention that we are both Aries.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's it's like Aries X type B. So it's like chaos mode.
Yeah.
And then also
it's like star-crossed.
Yeah.
Fuck us.
Chaos, and also like, where's all my stuff?
There are like 3 t-shirts I couldn't find right now. I'm not like, I don't know where I do the laundry. I don't know where.
Who did that to you?
Okay. Type B is Aries, victim complex.
Wait, yeah.
That's us.
Yeah. That's also kind of why we're doing a podcast, I think, because we want like an accountability mechanism.
Yeah.
So this will help us like check in on a weekly basis to make sure that we're writing and doing all of the things that we need to do.
Yeah. And I guess like a podcast structure helps us like put steps to the process because we're like figuring it out.
Yeah. Because again, we don't know. So,
but okay, let's talk about why we think we're qualified.
Yes. Okay. Again, I think because like I feel like we grew up both being really big readers. Yeah. I don't know. What did you read growing up?
Like I just remember being obsessed with reading very early and then like annoying about it.
Yeah.
Like, and it was everyone's problem that I like loved to read.
Mm.
I don't know if I told you this before. There's a babysitter, like God bless her. My parents left us with her and I was like in 1st grade. How old are you? 6?
Yeah.
Okay, so clearly I had barely mastered the English language, but I was like pretty excited that I like felt, I could read on my own. And there was like a chapter book. It was like a fake chapter book for babies. Right. It was like still only 20 pages, but like broken into 3 chapters maybe. And it was about the Titanic. I was like, this is riveting.
Is there anything better than a chapter book about the Titanic?
But I will say it was not my introduction to like maybe mature themes through literature. Despite being 6, you know what was? Wishbone.
That saucy little dog.
That son of a gun.
It is little trench coat.
He handled really mature themes.
Yes.
Which I guess it's things like the Odyssey, which like I guess has.
Yeah.
But he did that one book about like slave ships.
Wait, were you reading Wishbone?
No, but he's like
he would cover
literature.
He was doing book reports.
And I also might be conflating Reading Rainbow and Wishbone because I think actually the slave trade book that was covered that was really like rightfully jarring.
Yeah.
Like we should all be Awoken to the Horrors.
Thank you, Witchbow.
Young. Yes. But I think that was actually Reading Rainbow.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, Titanic, read the chapter book. I have a babysitter there, and I'm like, hey, Karen, whatever her fucking name is, I have a book report I have to write tonight. And she was like, well, you're 6 and you're in 1st grade.
Yeah,
so
she was like...
But she was so nice. She was like, oh, you've got a book report to write tonight? Like, obviously my parents would have thought, like... I was in 1st grade, but I was like, no,
there was no book report.
Of course not.
Yeah.
There was no book report, but I made her sit with me and type out a book report, and I gave it to my teacher the next day.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
An unsolicited book report.
Yikes.
6-year-old on the Titanic.
Wow.
So yeah, I read early.
Yeah.
How about you? What you got?
I don't think I read early necessarily. My sister was like reminiscing the other day about how like, because she is a year older than my second sister, and she would come home and like teach my other sister how to read. So I do think there was probably like a pass down of knowledge happening. But I don't... You
were just getting the dregs of the
Yeah, it's just like, could someone...
Siege's youngest.
Yeah,
notably.
youngest of 4.
Yeah. So you're getting trickle-down reading.
Yeah, trickle-down everything. It's fine. I don't really remember being a huge reader, but I recently read... I was just at home for the holidays, and they, in 3rd grade, made us, like, write our own books. It was, like, a 3rd grade milestone was that, like, everyone got to write their own books. And, like, the librarian, like, turned them into actual...
That's nice.
Books. And mine was, like, so bad, first of all. But it was, like, about a trip to North Carolina, where... This was, like, very youngest, too. The climax of the book was that my sister elbowed me in the face and knocked my tooth out. So it was all about, like, my great suffering. Of having my tooth knocked out, and then like getting to North Carolina and seeing a shark. But sorry, all this to say, there was like an author bio, and I was like, who is this person? It was so jarring. It was like, my name is Claire, I'm 8, I really enjoy soccer.
Oh, really?
And reading. And I was like, I didn't really... Yeah, all around.
I have low stones.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't remember like what I really enjoyed at that age, but I do remember in like middle school, that's when it like kicked up for me, and I was like, or like early middle school, I was doing a lot of Magic Treehouse, like Titanic. I think everyone was obsessed with the Titanic as a child.
I think so.
Yeah, and then I got really into Judy Moody too. Those were my my big. Did you ever read Judy Moody?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't really know what her deal was. She was like, I really can't recall, but I read all of the books. It was like a little tomboy girl getting into hijinks.
Okay, I'm confusing her with
Judy Blume. No.
Well, no, Judy Blume is the author, right?
Oh. But isn't it?
Isn't there like a Judy who like wears fanciful clothes?
That might be her.
No, her name's like, it's like a name. It's a rhyme name. Could we get Jupes on the fact check on that?
Yes.
There's like, it's like a fancy little girl, short chapter books. She's like...
Named Judy?
Is it Madeline?
Maybe it's not Judy.
Oh, Madeline?
Oh, we should talk about Madeline a little bit.
That was special.
I remember having like one like book, like Madeline book, but it was a picture book. I mostly engaged with Madeline through film.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The one with Frances McDormand as...
No, the animated ones where they keep Madeline and the girls for child labor in a basement, but they're like shorning the girl's hair to make it into fine French lace.
Okay.
Is that not a story?
I don't remember that, but it checks out.
Yeah. Do you know what childhood book I think of a lot living in New York? From the Mixed-Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Basil E?
I think, I always thought it was Basil E., but then in Dash and Lily.
Dash and Lily.
The Netflix show.
Right.
They refer to her as Basil or something.
Yeah. Art Basil.
It's Basil.
Okay.
It's Basil.
Okay, so then why were Dash and Lily doing Basil?
Because of Art Basil, I'm sure.
Probably. That's another, like, I loved those books where it was like, we're doing something crazy and illicit and like
kids with no
keepers. Rules. Yeah.
But that was actually one my mom loved as a kid, that she like was like, read this when it was time.
Wow, I wonder when that came out. That's crazy.
I know, isn't it? It's timeless, I suppose.
It came out in 1967.
67.
Damn. Yeah, that's probably when our
Yeah.
moms were like, well,
Not to, we shouldn't dox them, but
they're old.
It's on banned books.
they're really hot.
On
though.
what?
Website. It's a
Banned?
banned book.
Why?
Oh, because the
kids are
children,
naughty?
the children
You're
were.
Well, wouldn't you?
That's sad.
Yeah. Just to kind of maybe segue us
Yes.
into romance, some of those like adolescent books for me.
Yeah.
Okay, first, this isn't like romantic, but I was a little piggy for the click books, which I know you don't share my culture.
That was not. I was going to bring a click book home. Like, I enjoyed my life too much to
No.
bring it. I mean, like, in the way that where my parents would have killed me.
Well, right. But also, I did use it as escapist literature, which is kind of like a theme in my reading.
Yeah.
I think, like, I read to
To go away.
yeah, take a brain break. But I think I was in like 8th grade and I was trying out for like club soccer, and it was like up a year, like trying out for the U15 or whatever. And like 3 of my friends had been in the same tryout and they all got the call, like, you made the team. But I was like the last to get the call. But I didn't know the call was coming. So I was like, Mom, I can't go to school today. I need to read a click book at home. And she's like, girl, I get it.
Oh, that is so nice of her.
It was genuinely so nice.
That
of
sounds
her.
like the best day off, too.
I remember like being so distraught, like emotionally raw, but cracking open a click book and being like, I'm on the beach. Life's good at the beach.
Where did the click live?
Oh, Westchester.
Oh.
Can you believe?
That I can, because that feels right. Yeah, I always like wanted to be into the click books, but then the click movie came out.
Yeah.
Does she call her Claire in the
Yeah.
books as well?
Correct.
That's
yeah.
consistent? Okay,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And that bothers me.
Sure.
So,
I can see where that would hit close to home.
yeah. I was also into like girl group literature, but it was more like the girls were still like playing with dolls and
Yeah.
like didn't have crushes and were like not mean to each other.
Wonderful.
Because like I definitely wasn't allowed to read anything that was like a little. Was the click sexy?
No, but they did have boyfriends.
They had boyfriends. Okay.
Yeah, which I guess is like the
That's
peak
his,
of,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
romance at that age. What were your like nice girl?
Oh, I read something that I don't think, not like other girls, that I've never met anyone else who's read them. The Beacon Street Girls.
No.
I don't really remember their deal, to be honest.
Set in Boston?
Maybe. I don't remember anything about it besides I read all of them, and like I just like liked being in their group. Like it was
Yeah.
just nice to be part
'Cause
of
they
their
were nice
group.
friends to each
Yeah,
other.
they were nice.
Yeah.
And I think there was always drama, but like it was like not. There
Would
were
it
no
be, like-
boys. It was a society with no men.
Right. And I'm sure drama would be like the lemonade stand is out
Yeah.
of lemons.
Yeah.
No?
I think that, or maybe like you didn't invite Zoe to your birthday party, kind
And
of.
actually that doesn't sound
Yeah,
like
no,
it.
they sound a little mean.
Well, but it sounds like they probably communicated about it.
Yeah, there was always a resolution.
Yeah, it's really nice. When did you get your hands on something a little sexy?
And I'm gonna say not really until like post college. I feel like because
Really?
I think I had I had like a dry spell of reading from genuinely like high school to college. I feel like I wasn't really like reading things I wanted to read so much, just like reading school stuff.
Yeah.
And like
And
I
let's
lost
clarify,
the
we were both
English majors. Yes. Yeah. Although I definitely have always read the books that like
Yeah.
my required reading.
Siege was a very good student, and no one can say otherwise.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to revise. I think the first time I read like a romance, I don't know if you'd call it a romance, but the first time I read a book where I was like, I can't put this down. I'm so invested in the love story.
Yeah.
Pride and Prejudice. Like,
Yeah.
I remember we read it my senior year of high school for English, and this is like a annoying girl of me, but we were assigned to read like 3 chapters over spring break or something. Came back, I was like, I'm done.
Well, yeah,
Thank
'cause it's
you.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that was great. Give me more. And that was my first time being like, I need these two together, and I need to like hear about their kisses.
Now kiss.
Also. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think I went through a dry. So that was my
I feel like that's like a universal experience of like
yeah.
like girls who like to read, you get your hands on Pride and Prejudice.
Yes.
I remember my entire English. I went to an all-girls school too, so like all the
Yeah.
the girls showed up to class rabid.
Yeah, ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the book.
Yeah. And then what's unfortunate is then you watch the movie and you're like jaw on the floor. You're like, okay,
yeah.
this is actually like the best movie I've ever seen.
Oh my god.
But
yeah.
and then did you read a lot in high school or college?
Well, okay, did you ever get your hands on Sarah Dessen?
No, but I know you are a big.
That was, yeah, and I think it was like through high school, because like those are books where like the matter is love. Like it's like the plot is driven by a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
But they're also kind of like indexed to the right age. It's like the protagonists are always teenagers or whatever. They had a little bit of darkness too, you know, like the love interest would be troubled or the family home would be in disarray.
Yeah.
Yeah, she comes from a broken family. They were good, and like I don't know if they ever got into like, that's the thing. Like you'd think that I would remember more literature that deals with like loss of innocence because that's like, but I don't know if they ever actually like go there with it, you know?
I feel like you'd remember maybe.
I don't know. I mean, like, I wasn't, but like to your point, like I wanted to read like no kid.
Yeah, I wanted the
romance. I was
romance.
not looking for like
I don't
a
want
manual on.
I don't know what I would have
intercourse.
done with that in high school. To be honest, I think
Right.
I would have been like,
I would have that.
I would have been really scared.
Yeah. No, same.
Yeah. Dude, was it kind of like what the teens are reading now? Like what's that show called? Summer I Turned Pretty. Is it that kind of like level, do you think?
I think probably, yeah.
Yeah, where like it's kind of like, my guess is like Fade to Black. I've never read any of those books, but I feel like it's kind of like Fade to Black vibes where it's like,
yeah.
And then they went back and, you know.
And in that, who's the author? Jenny Han.
Yeah.
And also in the show, I know this, speaking specifically to Summer I Turned Pretty, I know they do. Bella and Conrad do it.
Ooh.
It's a departure from the books because in the books, I think it is like purity vibes.
Yeah.
Which I think was kind of like.
Because I did read. I read. After I watched To All the Boys I've Loved Before and became like literally couldn't think about anything else, I did read the book,
which was like a monoculture experience.
Yeah, I do think that was
yeah.
But I didn't read the rest of the books, but I think they do eventually as well.
Right.
I think it's like the grand finale is like it's 4 books that works up to that.
That's crazy. That's like, I feel like that is a central question to YA. Like,
yeah,
so it's like to write it or not.
Right. Which is a little like, is there like a moral?
Well, I think it all depends on how moralizing you are about sex.
Probably.
Okay, wait. Also, kind of in this vein, I famously, and you do know this about me, but it's embarrassing to share it more widely, read all of the Percy Jackson books last year.
Right.
For the first time.
Yeah.
Last year. And what's really embarrassing is I share my Kindle account with my family. So my youngest brother watched me do that.
And he was probably like,
hang on a second.
Did she get this for me?
He read them all when it was age appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
But I read them all now I read them when I was 28 years old. You know, they're covering these like major Greek god wars. But then all the while you have this protagonist who I think by the end is like 17, and like there is a romance that drives the plot too.
Right, the Shailene Woodley of it all.
I've never seen the show.
I actually haven't either.
But it got to the point where it was like totally unbelievable. They're fighting wars, but they're not fucking.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy. But I get, like, they are 17 in the end of these, but that's crazy.
Like, yeah.
Does Harry Potter ever go there? No.
No, okay.
But you know that they...
I actually reread that. I was going through a dark time. I reread that recently. When Harry and Ginny get together, they, like... fucking JK does one one scene in particular stands out where they go for a walk around the lake, and it's a real ...
Oh,
it's like when Harry goes to die, he's like thinking of like his times against the lake with Ginny.
Oh,
there's a lot of like dating in Harry Potter. But
yeah, no. But we don't ever get like the dirty.
No. You get like a ... illusion.
Yeah, a fade to black.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like my true, like, romance reading renaissance is happening not currently, but like before the pandemic, when I was commuting from Brooklyn to Midtown. I was like, well, what am I going to do with an hour and a half every day? So I started reading again and got really into just like reading, period.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, I can also read, I could sprinkle in a romance every now and then. And I think actually the first book that I was like, oh, this is a whole genre that I can get into was Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I don't know why I picked it up. I think I was like going on a trip or something and I was like, oh, let's just like grab this. Yeah. And I was like, so, and then once I realized that that's a whole like world, I feel like I can't get enough.
Oh, God.
Yes.
And you texted me, read this book.
Yeah.
And I... Similarly, like it was that kind of like re-engagement with reading, period, and then also like total I was gonzo for the genre. And
there's just so much, and I think there is such a wide variety of like kinds of authors and like writing styles. So I've read a lot of bad ones, not bad, but like ones where I was like, ooh, and then ones where I'm like, oh my god, this is mind blowing.
And I kind of think like we hit it at the same time. Like it was becoming like mass popular too. So like to your point, I do think it's kind of like fractured into all of these subgenres and niches. And like obviously tropes are as old as time, but like people like I know some people who like read their trope almost exclusively. Like, are you kind of like that?
Not exclusively, but like I definitely have a trope that I don't like, and I'm always kind of like, I'm not a friends to lovers girl.
Not a friends to...
No, I don't.
We're different, you and I.
Yeah, which is like probably like you're healthy. To me, friends to lovers is not like a romance genre. That's like a horror novel. like your friend being like, I have to tell you something. Like, actually, that's not feel good.
Friends take note.
Yes.
Yeah. But okay, so Carly Fortune was like our...
Yeah, and then I think I started doing like Love in Other Words after that, which is like basically the same book. Then I got into Emily Henry, and I feel like I was like, she's like my... I guess, who is your favorite author right now? Like your favorite romance author right now? Do you have one off the top?
I
or
mean...
book?
Or book. No, I do think... If there's one author we're gonna read every book, it's Emily Henry.
It's like as soon as she puts out a book, I can't get my hands on it soon enough. Yeah.
And I think it's funny. Like,
yes,
what I need is believable dialogue and like chemistry to jump off a page at me.
Yeah.
I don't like. I'm honestly kind of agnostic to trope, whatever. It's just like make these people make sense to me.
Yeah.
And feel real.
Which I think is really hard. I was talking to my mom recently. She's reading the biography of an artist, Manet, I think. And she was like, people don't write how people talk. And I was like, we were just talking about this. Yeah.
It's so annoying. Yeah. Like, meet a person.
Yeah.
Have a conversation.
Yeah. And I do think Emily Henry does a good job of it still feeling like a book and like fiction, and the dialogue feeling real.
Yeah, I totally agree. But that's kind of what I'm reading for.
Okay. Just to give a little background on like why we started the podcast, I think, or started this project. I'm gonna do a chaperone and call it The Work. Why we started The Work. Is that what she says, or did she call it The Project?
I think she meant to say The Work, but then like Bowen Yang as Mu Deng called it The Project.
Okay.
So I conflated.
All right. So it's a project. And Molly always like, I feel like you always used to say like, we should just write romance novels like after we graduated from college. Like, I feel like that was just like a thing you said all the time, and I was like, okay.
You know, like Percy Jackson.
And I'm always like, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
And so then we kind of, I don't know what, but I was like, it'd be cool if we tried to, like brought those two together.
What's more romantic than that?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're doing this to like help keep ourselves accountable and check in on a weekly basis. Oh, and I think the challenge itself is that we're each gonna write a book that we're proud of and that we would like let other people read, maybe.
Yeah, the challenge is have like a draft of something like we're genuinely like ready to shop or share.
Yeah.
By the end of the year.
Yes, and so each week talk about like the progress and the things that we're doing. I think there will probably be some challenges involved for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like we have a lot of people in our lives who like write and read, and so hopefully we'll chat with them about what they're looking for.
We need help, for sure.
Yes, and just getting help.
Yeah. And I think we'll set exercises for ourselves, each other, that will track here for public exposure and shame.
Right. It will be good to have like a weekly like deadline, I think, a little bit, where it's like not a deadline, but like I have to bring something to the table.
And maybe we like work out some milestones along the way too.
Yes,
but
I think so.
It's all working backwards from that.
Yeah. That's the
end
the
of 2025 drafts
Yes.
done. Okay, so with that as like kind of the macro scheme, what are we gonna commit to do next week? I think we have to do some research on like how to write a book.
I think that's fair. I think we have procured a lot of equipment, and perhaps it would be good to do a little research on what that actually means and like what that process can be.
Yeah. So I think we come back, we share resources with one another, some of the stuff we've learned, and kind of work through.
Yeah, maybe talk about like how we're gonna do it. You know, I'm a big fan of Catherine Walsh. She's an Irish romance author.
Yes.
She had she's writing a book right now, and her story was like someone had DM'd her being like, trying to write my first novel, like what do you do? And she was like, honestly, I just like go for it.
Yeah. She
was like, I just write it as I go and like I make adjustments. But like that honestly made me feel better, because I was like, okay, maybe I don't have to like no, we don't have to know everything right now.
No, I think we're gonna learn a lot on the road.
One thing we want to do throughout this process is talk about like what is romance,
right?
And like I think we've talked about how romance can be a lot of different things. It's not just like love.
No.
But like the things we do for people in our lives, or like am I being so cheesy right now?
No, I think that is the central question of the project.
Yeah. of the work. Yeah.
No, I think we are finding romance.
I think that's a good way of putting it, is like finding romance in everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing we want to do every week is talk about what is the most romantic thing that's happened to you this week, or that you've like witnessed. I don't think it has to be.
Yeah.
Some of us are, you know. Yeah. So, do you have one? I don't.
Okay. I'll preface by saying this week, down bad with norovirus. There's not a lot romantic about norovirus. I'm remiss to start with a romantic thing about my husband, Mittens. But
should you explain Mittens a little bit?
I'm married. I'm kind of newly married. Mittens is what I'm going to be calling him, because that's what he called himself one time. But he was actually so just like the thankless care he provided this week while I was like really sick. And I think one of the most romantic things that happened to me this week was he cleaned the bathroom, and I had not made that a pleasant place to clean this week.
He kind of did like toxic waste disposal.
He zipped up his hazmat.
He got in there.
Siege also has this like just unkillable perception of Mittens as like a total like domestic,
long
like
suffering.
So helpful. Right. It's not the case, but she thinks he does all of the work in our household.
It's because every time I'm like hearing he's like tidying, or like he's like just finishing up like a little chore.
No, which is all performative. Like he knows you're coming.
It does. Yeah, I think it is. It's like. Yeah. Like literally this week I came over to meet about this. Molly had been like, oh, like when you come over, just FYI, like there's a smell. And I'm like, again, 2 type B, so I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, you think it doesn't smell at my house? I was like, I'll show you chocolate milk. So we were joking that I was gonna come in and try to find the smell like a drug dog. Because she didn't know where the smell was coming from. We walked in and Mittens was here, and he was doing chores. He had just returned from a trip, and he was already doing chores, which was like classic Mittens.
Like, just walked off the plane.
He's like already in his apron, like doing his little chores.
He does not. Oh my god.
But then we walked in and Molly was like, I'm really sorry about the smell, like I don't know what it is. And Mittens goes, it's the fajita. It's the fajita in the fridge.
Fajita singular in the fridge.
Yeah. Oh my god. But that's sweet that he did. He got in the bathroom.
He's a good
you.
partner.
Yeah.
Okay, so most romantic thing to happen to you this week?
Can I do two? Sorry,
yeah,
I know that's like a bad way to start, but the first one is like so annoying of me, but it is something I think that I should just get ahead of, which is that I am extremely romantic about baseball.
Yeah.
Specifically the Phillies. I'm like very invested. I just am a big fan, and I do think like this is going to come up a lot, that I believe baseball is very romantic.
Yes.
But it's not a romantic thing that happened to me, but the Phillies re-signed my favorite pitcher. And that felt kind of special.
100%. Yeah.
That was like literally the first thing I thought of when I was doing the challenge, so I'll just give you that. But I think the true like most romantic thing I witnessed this week was the snow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Doesn't it just make you feel wistful?
I couldn't see it from my bed.
Yeah, from being
my sick bed.
From the haze.
My fugue state didn't let the snow in. But yeah, it is, especially snow in the city. My God.
It's just, I don't know. I was like, because I'm having a hard time getting over Christmas this year.
Yeah. I guess so.
I don't know why, because I'm not usually very romantic about Christmas. I'm kind of like, it is what it is. But this year, I'm just like, because it's so, January is such a letdown, you know?
It's
and
hard.
I'm kind of trying to like, I guess, keep the spirit of Christmas alive in my heart.
Yeah.
And when it started snowing, I put on some Christmas music.
Aww.
And I made myself a little cocoa.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I actually remember your cocoa.
I sent a little Snapchat.
Yeah.
So I felt very romantic then. I also went out for a little walk to get my salad.
Okay, great.
Not sorry, I know you weren't eating at the time. Not to brag.
Yeah, how was solid food?
It was good. You had some baklava today. So.
Oh my God, babka.
Oh, shit.
And I had like a
What is the difference between vodka and baklava?
Baklava is like
it's more cookie.
Yeah.
Right?
No. Baklava is like super like oily. It's like that many layer
It's
of
like
like
a flaky pie.
yeah. The thin,
oh yes, okay, I've got the vision.
It's syrupy.
I feel like I've had it at a
syrupy.
diner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, I think that's really. Oh yeah, I should also. I don't have a husband, so most of mine are gonna be like baseball news.
I'm mad that mine was about my husband. To be clear, I find romance everywhere.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
It was just one of those weeks where Mittens put on his.
My world was just
Mittens.
Mittens. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think
that's it. I think we'll be back next week, and
yeah,
that's it.
I'll see you tomorrow for Christmas brunch.
Yay! Can you tell I'm really not letting it go? I'm hosting an elaborate Christmas brunch.
And we'll see everyone else when we see them.
Yes.